It's always evolving, and I just want to keep it really current so that a student who does it this year or 4 years ago enters it being like, wow, this is perfect. Like, I can find my way through this. The information is still relevant. The approach we're taking makes sense. And so every year we're kind of tweaking and looking at the feedback and seeing where we can improve it and keep it really, really relevant.
Hey, it's Renee. Welcome to the Into the Wild Show, the podcast for women who want to build incredible mental strength to level up their business and lifestyle. I'm Renee Warren, the founder of We Wild Women, author, speaker, award-winning entrepreneur, and your host. Together, we will make you unapologetic about shining your light, growing your business, and turning you into a wildly confident and successful leader. This is for you, the visionary, the go-getter, the entrepreneur, and for those that need a real kick in the butt to get going and to dream bigger. Each week, I bring in leading experts and entrepreneurs to help you take leaps in the right direction, because I know the best advice comes from someone who has successfully done it before. So, are you ready to level up? Welcome to Into the Wild. Hey, you wild women. My next guest is a Toronto-based author and founder of the Academy of Culinary Nutrition. She's written 2 #1 best-selling books, Undiet, Eat Your Way to Vibrant Health, and the Undiet Cookbook. Meghan's success in cultivating a global community of culinary nutrition experts has garnered her a feature in Forbes and ranked her as one of the top 100 female entrepreneurs in Canada. In this episode, we chat about the uncommon ways she grew her online culinary school and how she defied the odds of what it means to be a successful digital course creator. High industry student completion rates. Please welcome the incredible, another Canadian woman, Meghan Telpner.
Hello, Renee. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining me. We just connected the dots on how we knew each other.
Yeah, 1,000 ways. And so now I have to move to Kelowna. That's what we've decided.
Yeah, that's exactly it. As soon as I say I moved to Kelowna, people are like, oh no, don't tell me that.
Yep.
And here you are, joining me.
I know. It's so nice to connect.
It is. I love it. So let's jump into some quick questions, because I know you have some really cool stories and growth strategies to share. But I'd love to know, where are you from?
Well, I live in Toronto. I was born in Winnipeg, which for those not in Canada is a little town in the middle of the country that's winter most of the time. But I moved here with my family when I was a child.
Ah, that's why they call it Winterpeg.
Yeah, I've only been back. I moved 32 years ago. I've been back once in the winter. And it's like, what did I do this for?
It's so contrasting. I find the summers, because I've only ever been there in the summer, but my recollection of it is very, very hot.
Yeah, well, it's beautiful in the summer, and it's the prairie, so it's sunny, like really late into the night. But yeah, no, I've lived in Toronto for the majority of my life.
Cool. I love it. I used to live in Toronto too. Loved it there. What is one of the toughest moments you faced as an entrepreneur?
I think, daily there's something that's like, what did I choose this for? But there's always been moments. I think having a baby in the middle of growing a business was pretty challenging. And in that year, one by one, my entire team resigned. So rebuilding a team during that period when I had a newborn was like, am I meant to keep doing this? So that was a lot. And I had a moment recently it had been building, but in February, March 2022, I decided I was done and I was going to leave. And I announced it publicly that I was retiring. I was going to run my program one more time. And which I don't know if that was the challenging part. Coming to that decision was challenging, and figuring out what it would look like leaving was challenging. But ultimately, what happened was that I built out my team, bestowed responsibility on everybody, hired an incredible operator, and the whole thing became so much more fun to be part of again. And so I'm staying with it. So there's that.
Well,
I think every entrepreneur has these moments where like, I'm done, I'm quitting. And then I actually did. And in giving myself the freedom to do that, it like lifted a weight off me and I was ready for more.
Isn't that hilarious? Mm-hmm. But I want to just interject here. A little quick sidebar is my husband's book just came out, Buy Back Your Time. The whole premise is about delegating those things that you know you shouldn't be focusing on so that you can gain more time back in your day. Is there any truth in that philosophy to you actually coming back to life?
There was a couple things. So I have long since put up pretty firm, since having a child, basically putting up boundaries on my time, more so than most entrepreneurs I know, in that my husband also has his own business. So we take turns picking our child up from school. And in 2020, we had a babysitter. It was really cute. So we had a babysitter take care of our child so we could keep working when everything was shut down. And she was 20 years old and working Monday to Friday. It was just too much work for her. So she was only willing to watch our child Monday to Thursday. And so Fridays, Josh and I started taking off as a family. So every weekend was a long weekend for about 6 months. And it was wonderful. And then when our son started preschool, we managed, let's keep Fridays off for us. And so we still do not work on Fridays. Therefore, personal care, self-care for us, my husband and I, to go and do something fun during the day while our son's in school. And so really, I've cut my work week down to between 20 and 25 hours a week. So it wasn't so much having to protect my time, but I was just becoming less and less tolerant to nonsense and to dealing with things I didn't want to deal with. And so I became more selective about who I wanted to work with, how we were going to work, and what we would and would not take on as projects or opportunities.
That is smart. I love that. It's the date day, and then your child's not even there, so you guys can connect as a couple.
Yes. And then we can give...
Dan and I were doing that, but then we just got really busy again.
Yeah, you have to guard it. And there's an opportunity cost to it. Like my husband and I used to have a podcast, and we did it every Fridays. We would record our 1 or 2 episodes, and we're just like, that's a choice we have to make right now. And for now, we're choosing each other instead of the podcast.
That's a beautiful example, though, because it is possible. Mm-hmm. It is possible. And you think about, okay, the average 40-hour work week made sense. And I think Ed Mylett said something about this in a show a long time ago, where the 40-hour work week was created because it was needed at the time of the Industrial Revolution. And even there are certain institutions and businesses that require that, like banks, for instance. But really, a lot of banking is now electronic. You don't really need to go to see a teller.
I've extended it to my team as well.
Oh, so they don't work on Fridays either?
No.
Oh, I want to work for you.
Most of them do. And this was something I learned from the group I'm in with your husband, is so many people as entrepreneurs and as business owners are doing such incredible things to make their companies places that incredible people really want to work at. Mm-hmm. And I knew for myself the benefit I was getting from having a little more breathing space. And some of the people who work with me are parents or have other things they like to do. And so we made Fridays, we called it Flexible Friday. So we have no meetings, no tasks due. So it's an opportunity for team members to catch up on what they have to do, finish up what they need for the week in their own time between Thursday and Monday, basically. And we're not on Slack that day. They can do personal appointments. They can go grocery shopping. They can do their professional development, which everyone has a budget to do. And our productivity hasn't changed. Because again, like you said, the 40-hour work week, are people really working 40 hours straight? Or if there's an incentive to optimize their efforts, are they going to work more efficiently? And so instead of having long Slack conversations, we'll quickly have a call and find solutions and move forward with them. And so at least for my team size, it's working really well. It's been almost a year.
I don't even use Slack. So I'm hiring right now for VA and podcast and just a bunch of stuff. And I ended up finding great people that do certain roles. And one of their questions was, what's your communication style internally? I was like, oh, please don't say Slack, because I hate it. I'm the worst Slack user ever. I'm the slackiest Slack user.
You're slacking at Slack.
Yes, because it's too much. I felt like there's this need to go and understand the entire context of every single conversation of which I have a notification to go. It didn't work for me. But anyways, I love that you do that. So the Friday's off. And here's what I used to do with my agency. We used to have 12 employees. They ended up working anyway because there was no pressure to have calls. There was no pressure to do things and deliverables. They were their most creative.
Yeah.
You can choose to work on this day. We never scheduled recurring phone calls. If there's anything that came up, they were available, obviously. But then they loved it. They didn't have to ask if they can leave early to go away for the weekend or to go to their daughter's dress rehearsal, whatever. Just go and live your life.
Yeah.
And work when you can.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. And like even in Dan's book, to come back to that, is he talks about transactional leadership and transformational leadership, right? So like that is an example of transformational. Where it's like you trust your team enough to do the work. They know what their objectives are.
Yeah.
Just let them do it.
Yeah. And in my experiment of quitting my company, and I took most of the summer off, getting out of the way and not being the bottleneck. And often it was, like you said, like they'd have a whole Slack conversation. I'd hop in not actually knowing, and I would actually create more challenge and more problems and more confusion. And I'd sort of like, the Homer Simpson gif where you like back away into the bushes. Like I felt like I was doing that a lot. And so it really taught me how to trust and how to be a leader that can fully trust. And if things don't work out, that person takes responsibility, learns from it, and we come out ahead in the end always. So
100%.
Yeah, it's worked out really well.
I now am going to picture Homer Simpson for the rest of the day. It's true. But you're like FOMO. You're like, what's this funny cat joke about? Because with my team, they were half remote, half in our office, and so it was a great way for them to have their own little channels and to chat with each other. I loved that. And then there was like a whole team fun channel, and sometimes there would be like a joke that would just spy. And I was like, I'd poke in and be like, hey guys, what's everyone talking about? And all of a sudden they had to fill me in, and it was just like, now you're ruining it, Renee. It's not fun anymore. Like, damn it.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us now a little bit, because you have a couple things going on, but tell us about your online culinary school.
Yeah.
Why you started this. But I also want to get to like the uncommon ways that you actually grew the business.
Right. So I did everything uncommon because no one was doing it when I started doing it. And that's the simplest way to explain it. So there was no model for it. There wasn't even the programs or the software to do what I wanted to do. But I started a long time ago in 2008 teaching in-person cooking classes in Toronto in a loft that is now my office. At the time I lived in it, and would have 6 to 12. Ultimately, we ended up at 24 people coming in, and we'd do these cooking workshops and cooking classes, and they were incredibly fun. I also was growing tired of working evenings and weekends. So I had to be working when everyone else was off work. And the demand was growing beyond what I could sustain. And I we don't like the word scale, but I needed a way to build this into a sustainable business that wasn't taxing my human energy so much. Like I am an introvert, and putting on dinner parties multiple times a week and every weekend was becoming exhausting. And I started dating someone who I have now married, but I wanted to hang out with him on the evenings and weekends.
Right.
So I experimented with filming. I did a live stream class. My first live stream class was in the fall of 2011, where I had to bring in a whole crew to make this possible, to like film it. And people, like, it wasn't just, push a button on your phone and you can. So it was pretty involved, and it was amazing. And we had people joining from all over the place and asking questions. And it felt almost telethon-like people would like call in with their questions, because that was the only way we could do it, was like a phone.
Wow.
But it was super fun. And then the following, about 8 months later, I filmed my first course. So taking what I was offering in person and did a course online, and had, figuring out, I think it was like a password protected page on my website, because there weren't out of the box learning management systems that you could easily just set up on your own. They just didn't exist yet. So this was in 2012. And so slowly I started converting what I was doing in person into standalone video-based classes. Meanwhile, in person, people were saying to me, can I just sign up for everything you're offering this season? And so I started to order my workshops and classes. There were 10 of them at the time, into an order that kind of made sense as a flow. And I offered it as the Culinary Nutrition Expert Program. So people could sign up for the whole thing. I created a curriculum of assignments, and people loved it. And I was like, okay, so now that I've, over the span of 3 years have filmed everything, that was how I first offered what I do online. And that was in the fall of 2013. We had 100 guests register for the Culinary Nutrition Expert Program online from 8 countries. And I was blown away that in 3 months, I could fit more people for this than I could in over 2 years in my kitchen.
Wow.
And the work that our first set of students were doing was so incredible that I realized this was bigger than just, Meghan's cooking classes. So that was what inspired the launch of the Academy of Culinary Nutrition in the spring of 2014 to kind of house this program. And what we did that was uncommon was that, first of all, everything I do online, I had originally done in person. And I think that for a lot of people, that's the most powerful way to hone your ability, especially if you're in a teaching role, is to be able to say something and get immediate feedback or understand what questions will come so that you can answer them in a video setting where you don't get that real-time feedback. So when I first started filming my classes, they were as real as if you were here in the kitchen, in that food flew, stuff happened, and we just went with it. And I would laugh and I would just keep going. And so there was this engagement that happened that at the beginning at least, they were not very polished. I had a crew come do it, but I just didn't have the budget to refilm anything or have multiple ingredients so we just went for it. And over the span of time, I started growing it. And my ultimate goal was to always give people who joined us the most live and in-person type of experience they could have. So even now, different to how a lot of online courses are run, our flagship program, at least, is not evergreen. We have an enrollment period. Everyone starts on the same day. Everyone finishes on the same day. There's deadlines throughout that they have to meet if they want to be granted their certification. So you're buying the education, you're earning the credentials through doing the work. And everyone is assigned a dedicated program coach that they submit their work to. So it's as live and real time as you can get online. And the other thing is that our program is ridiculously challenging. It's a lot of work. People have to set aside 12 to 16 hours per week. And that's sort of a liberal investment that we have estimated. Some weeks are less, a lot of weeks are more. But we have a 90% completion rate. 90% of students who enroll successfully complete the program, which is unheard of in the online course world. And more so, they're learning the information and then going out and using it. So whether it's applying it in their life for their own health or helping support family members and also starting incredibly brilliant businesses, which is what
that's cool.
Led me into creating a business course to follow the culinary course for people who wanted to do that.
Well, that makes sense. See, I just assumed these people would go be head chefs somewhere.
Well, we do have some that have done that or gone and worked at retreat centers or done recipe and menu development for hotels or resorts or even products. Most of it is, I designed the program to be able to teach people how to teach it. So as professional development, which people do use it for that. But we also have had loads of parents, tons of moms, lots of teachers who want to bring this information to their classrooms. And we've also had loads of dietitians and nurse practitioners and physicians who want this information. And it's not that special, I don't think. It's basic from scratch cooking, but it has such a wide application for such a wide variety of people, where we've had our youngest student in their teens and our oldest student in her late 70s. And we've reached people around the world, and it keeps working. And it's not because we're trying to be the biggest, which I think is what a lot of people do with scaling, especially with online courses, is this is a way to have passive income and scale and blah, blah, blah. And my goal has always been to preserve my quality of life. That's why I went online in the first place, so I could have free evenings and weekends. I didn't want to go online and then suddenly I'm working evenings and weekends to keep this thing going.
Right.
But to ensure that the people who come through the program leave having their expectations exceeded. And we do a poll at the beginning of the course, people rating their level of kitchen confidence. How confident do you feel in the kitchen? And it's I know where that room is in my home. I could follow a recipe, to I feel 100% confident in what I know and being able to share with others. And we ran this poll at the start and at the end. And by the end, 100% of our students said they feel confident in what they've learned and being able to share it with others.
Oh man, I need to take this course. I hate cooking.
Oh no.
But here's the thing. It's I don't like it. I don't like it because I'm bad at it, or is it because I'm bad at it so I don't like it? You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, I don't mind it if I know that the goal is to achieve a healthy, nutritious meal for my family, as opposed to ordering in. But I'm not good at it. I think I've made one great meal my entire life.
What was it?
I'm really good at breakfasts. I'm good at baking. I managed to cook the chicken right for the first time in 1,000 tries.
Well, see that?
My family was like, they were shocked. They're like, you made this? I'm like, I did make it.
Well, I think that, and one of, we have different messages we use in promoting what we do. And ultimately, like, I don't do, and here's another thing that might be uncommon. I don't do the webinar with like the undercover sell. Like, join me for 5 tips to reduce stress through food. Like, and then I like slip in, sign up for this program. I run information sessions about the program. So people are coming who want to learn more about it. And from that, the people who sign up know exactly what they're signing up for. We're not like trying to sneak it in as a passive sale. And one of the messages we use, well, there's a few, but one of them is to build your confidence in the kitchen. Because if you go and do something feeling confident, you're going to enjoy the process a lot more. And if you're confident and you enjoy the process, you're going to be motivated to keep experimenting and trying things. And if it is for your family, that in and of itself is the most important reason to do it.
Yeah, totally.
And I think it's just that, it's like 4:30 on a weekday and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to make tonight. And when you're in that state and then it doesn't work out, it's not a really fun experience. Or it's like,
oh, you have these intentions on making something. It's 4:30 and you have to thaw something. And you're like, oh, right. Now I have to thaw the chicken. It's the worst.
One of the first
we tried meal plans. Yeah. Oh man, we had this one time, Dan and I were like super adamant about having very specific meal plans, and I created this super in-depth spreadsheet. I'll find it. I'll share it with you in a later note. It was color-coded with codes, like numerical and letter codes that would match the meal of the time of day of the week with the ingredients needed for that. Like you needed to be a mathematician to figure it out. And I looked at it and I was so proud of the work that I had done. And it worked for us for 3 days.
Yeah.
Because it just got too complex.
Yeah, no one can follow a meal plan. So one of the first assignments we do in the program, so people who are in our certified levels who are doing the work get paired with someone else. And so I would say to you, Renee, what are your eating preferences, or do you have any allergies or anything like that? And I would take that information and I would create for you a 1-day meal plan. You would do the same for me, and then we have to follow them. And so what most people learn in that is that meal plans are completely unrealistic, because I'm not going to cook 8 different recipes in 1 day for my eating. Yeah. Or you get a 7-day meal plan where you're making 21 new things. And so when we get to doing the 5-day meal plan, it's like, okay, let's be realistic about this. Maybe someone will do 2 or 3 new recipes in a week. So what are things most people can cook without needing a recipe, and how do we reuse leftovers? And that's all part of it. So I am certain that anyone can learn how to do this and have it not be a painful process.
Right? Oh, and I think for me too, it's just I hate wasting food. So if it doesn't work and nobody wants to eat it, I will get through it, but I'll be the only one that eats it for the next 3 days.
And then you never.
And we have our solutions now. Yeah, I don't want to look at it again. No, the meal that I successfully made outside of the chicken was this. It was a breakfast, like it was a brunch meal. It was oh my gosh, like a bake. It was a French toast bake that had like just eggs and French toast and a lot of maple syrup and cream cheese. And it was like a dessert. Oh, it was so good though. I don't even know where I got the recipe. And I was so successful. Everyone ate it up. They're like, wow, you're a really good chef. I'm like, nah. It's the only thing I made successfully.
I'm not a trained chef at all. I've been to one cooking class in my life and then decided I was qualified to teach them. So that's another benefit, in that nothing we make is that complex. Like, it's delicious and it's creative, but it's simple, and anyone can do it.
I love that.
So talking about uncommon, I believe that the approach that I've taken in doing this is why 10 years later, I'm still teaching this program.
Wow. Yeah, and you haven't given up.
Well, I did, but I came back.
Oh, that's right. You did for like a couple months. You took a pause.
Yeah.
You needed to regroup. That's it. So when did you know, so you've been doing this for 10 years, when did you know that your business was successful?
I don't know. I had a moment yesterday where I thought it might be working.
It's only 10 years in.
I think, as you may have experienced as an entrepreneur, I feel like I'm waking up every single day trying to make it up as I go. Mm-hmm. And I still think that this has all been a fluke, the success we've had, that we've graduated over 3,000 people in nearly 80 countries.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
amazing.
you. Yeah. And my husband will joke with me because we'll do something and, I'll do like a live online cooking class, like as a lead generator, let's say. And I'll get thousands joining live. And my husband jokes, he's like, I think you're onto something. And I'm still like, I don't know. Maybe it was maybe it was a fluke. Maybe I got lucky this time. So I also think that level of uncertainty is what keeps me continuously trying to not necessarily reinvent, but keep it really fresh and always asking, like, is this still working? Like, does this make sense? Like, because we don't do things the way we did 10 years ago. Like, there's better technology now and we have to market it differently. And there's different tools and social media platforms that come and go. So it's always evolving. And I just want to keep it really current so that a student who does it this year or 4 years ago enters it being like, wow, this is perfect. Like, I can find my way through this. The information is still relevant. The approach we're taking makes sense. And so every year, we're kind of tweaking and looking at the feedback and seeing where we can improve it and keep it really, really relevant.
Does this sound like you? You've always wanted to get featured in your dream media or on your favorite podcast, but you think that's only for the rich and famous? After all, you keep seeing your competition get mentioned everywhere, and you can't help but wonder what you're doing wrong. But that hasn't stopped you from pitching some journalists, taking screenshots of some wicked features, and drooling over your competition's wins. The idea of seeing your business featured in top media publications or securing a killer podcast interview lights you up. Envisioning the credibility that follows and motivates you even more. Imagine one day being on the cover of Forbes. Okay, let's all dream together. But there's this feeling of accomplishment, seeing your hard work getting the media's attention. And there's so much pride to be found there. And let me tell you, as the founder of your business or CEO, this is the work that you should not be doing. This is buying back your time after all, is investing into the right marketing channels, the right funnels, the right people, the right strategy to move the needle in your business to gaining more exposure. And this is what I offer in my Sidelines to Headlines program, where I do all of your PR for you. Now, this is something I have been doing for years, and I've helped people get into Forbes and Inc., full page features in Women's Day, Canadian Living Magazine, TV shows, radio, all the top podcasts. And I love doing it. This is what lights my soul on fire, is doing this work, especially for women like you. So if you're looking to gain maximum exposure for yourself and your business in 2023, then head on over to wewildwomen.com/sidelines to headlines to check out my Done For You PR program. I can't wait to see your name in lights. So your metric for success is completion rate, the students completing the program?
It's one of our primary metrics of success. I mean, we do have enrollment goals we tend to hit, but I don't ever set, like, we offer the program at 4 levels. I don't ever set targets per level. We don't set targets for revenue. It's really about how many humans we can get in and deliver an exceptional experience to.
I love that. Because I know I kind of dabbled in the online course space the last few years, and taking all these online courses to learn how to do an online course. One thing is, like, they're always talking about how to make this like side hustle and make 10K a month of recurring revenue. And you follow those. And yes, it probably works for somebody, but the moment you make it about that recurring revenue and not about the student, you've lost. You've totally lost the game.
I also don't think it does work for anyone. So the statistic on an evergreen course is a 1% conversion. So if you're making $10,000 a month. Maybe you have a $10,000 program and you have 100 people coming in and you get one to take it, then you've done it. But if you think about how many people you need to get into that net in order to have a 1% conversion and make $10,000 on, the average course is maybe $100 or $300. It doesn't really happen, but it's a wonderful lure to get you into a course. It's going to teach you how to do it.
Yes. And I know there's good intentioned people out there. I went through Amy Porterfield's Digital Course Academy, and I didn't do everything she said step by step. I'm sure if I did, there would have been some success and I would have done it again. But those are the live launch method. All the people I know that went through it, they're not doing courses anymore because I think it's positioned as something that's just like, hey, throw on a video, teach people what you know, and then hit publish and they'll buy. In my opinion, there's way more work involved.
Yes. I primarily run this one program. We dabbled in sort of instant access, shorter courses. We're like, let's dangle these lower investment courses and then people will do this and then maybe upgrade to the full shebang. And it didn't happen. And maybe we weren't selling it right, which is possible. But ultimately I was like, why do we put all this effort into selling a $148 course instead of putting all our effort into selling our $4,000 to $6,000, depending on the level people choose? And I have a team of 7 people full-time running this thing. So it's far from passive. It's far from like, let's film it and publish and just like, I'm going to go to the beach and watch the money roll in.
That's important to know because it's easy to go online and find you. Be like, oh, you've written in these books and you do this wonderful online culinary experience. But to know how many people are in the background to make this happen and how you're constantly going. Like how many times do you open up the course, like once a year? Or?
I'll tell you, we do it once a year. I did it twice a year. And I was like, I think I just split the difference. I think I gave myself twice the amount of work with the same number of people who would have signed up if we had just done it once. So we open enrollment typically in April that runs to September. And then we run the program September to December. And then even before we finish it, we start planning the following year's enrollment.
Yeah. I love that because it's not, and like we said, there's probably possibilities in which people have made $10K of passive income.
For sure.
But I feel like all of the things that lined up for them, it's their lived experiences versus somebody else trying to achieve the same thing. Like they're best friends with all famous people who shared the course, and all of a sudden their exposure to 50 million people as opposed to your 500.
Exactly.
Changes
if you have famous friends with massive audiences who are willing to be affiliates and pay for their own ads to sell your course so they can get their commissions, that's going to be a different situation. And we have affiliates. Any graduate of our program and any podcast host that has me on can be an affiliate of the program. We have a 20% commission. And to me, I'm like, it's easy. Like, it's so easy, especially for someone who's done the program, experienced it, had the transformation, is creating amazing things in their life because of what they learned. Send one email out and you will refer someone and you will get your commission, and people don't do it. Yeah. And, those are things that we are up against constantly. And we're like, how do we incentivize? How do we inspire people to do this? And, again, if you have friends with massive audiences who want to do that, that's a huge asset.
Yeah, well, it's important to try to have those friends too, though, because they definitely give you a hand up. Yeah. So give us a quick summary of some of these like top of mind, uncommon ways that you were able to grow your business.
I think because, we didn't do paid advertising until maybe 2020. It was all organic, and some of the things we were doing were through SEO and through, what the kids call content marketing. But we would look at our most popular posts and ensure that every single one that was in our top 10 had an opt-in on it. So we were getting 70 to 100 organic opt-ins a day just through our website and people searching for content that we had covered. And that was really powerful and really beneficial. It was interesting because I used to, what I thought was going to be a big break wasn't, which was in 2011, I was cast on the Marilyn Dennis show when it launched.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was the nutritionist on the first season and then got fired. And so there was all these things where I thought they would be the big sort of tipping point. And ultimately I realized, and again, I don't know if this is uncommon or not, but I realized that there would be way more impact if I could control the things that created the tipping points for us. And so one of the things I also stopped doing, because I realized it didn't do anything for my actual business, was I stopped doing mainstream media appearances because they were a ton of work and built someone else's audience. And it would give me like a blip in traffic, but it never converted to anything. And the only way TV appearances or anything like that really work, in my opinion, is if you're on repeatedly and people get to know you. And so I opted for putting my time into creating my own video content rather than someone else's. That I was like, if I'm going to put together a whole cooking demo, I will do it for my community so that they can enjoy it and share it. And so we started creating sort of our own broadcast events with these live cooking workshops, live online, that weren't selling anything at all. They were just classes to get people cooking. And we would give out a spot in the program in it for anyone who cooked something and posted it to social media or submitted their thing to us so we could talk about it. I created my own commercial breaks in these live sessions. So my commercial breaks were testimonial videos from my students. So I would take a break to reset my kitchen, play 2 minutes of testimonials, and then carry on as if nothing was said, like it was a show. And so we started creating these live events to bring people in, where we could get like 3,000 to 5,000 people added to our list by one live cooking demo. And it was really like not looking at what everyone else was doing and really focusing on who do we want to attract in here? What do they need and want from us? And how do we deliver on that? And then be completely straightforward. Like when I do these events, I'll be like, would you like us to sign you up for the information session? And we do run a poll. And if they say yes, great. We add them to our list and that's it. So it's making things really easy for people and being, again, really straightforward, not trying to be like, here's this and I'm going to upsell you to this and that and that. What I realized is that I can sell our flagship program, our highest ticket offering. And those people will then buy just about anything afterwards. And the conversion from the high ticket to the lower ticket was way higher than the low ticket to the high ticket. And none of this is what anyone had ever said to do. But we would look at it and be like, this isn't making sense. Why am I going to send someone 20 emails about a $100 product? Or I could send them the same 20 emails about the thing I actually want them to see and look at and decide if it's for them or not. So those are a couple, I think.
Wow. No, that is huge because from what I know, it's get the low ticket, give away your best stuff for free, and then try to upsell them on the bigger ticket item because if the consumer's thinking, wow, if I got this for just $47, imagine what I can get for $3,000. And then there's nothing left for the $3,000 program. I don't know, just my experience. Yeah. And there's so much pressure into creating those small programs. What goes into it? Like, what is it? You're supposed to teach the why and sell the how. Okay, that makes sense. And the way you're doing it is kind of like, it's reversed.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's no, I can't fake it. I can't pretend that I want something other than what I want. And what I want is for the people
But you've also figured out that's what they want too.
Yeah.
They don't want the $47 program. Maybe afterwards as a compliment to the stuff that they've already just finished in your program.
Yeah. We give out lots of things to the people who've invested. And we do, another thing we do is, there's all these programs like around list building, which I don't want a big list because it just costs more every month. Every person who's on your list, you have to pay for. And so we do list cleanses. I'm like, I don't need someone on my list for 10 years. At that point, they don't want this. Like, this isn't what they want. They're here for the free stuff, which is great, and they can keep coming back for it, but I can't carry the load of all these people, especially, having been doing this for 15 years.
That's so true. That's a very good point. And, there's something to be said about the size of your list. Well, there's many ways of getting a big list very quickly. but is it relevant? Yeah. And I'm sure you get asked all the time. I get asked so much to speak at these virtual summits. And I get honored to be part of the prerequisite is you're going to get exposure to over 500,000 people, an accumulation of all these other people's social networks. But you need to have 5,000 people on your email list, and you have to share one social media image, and you have to mail your list, and you have to do this. Oh, and you're speaking for free.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah, no one asks
make any sense.
No one asks me anymore because I say straight up that I will not be sending a dedicated email.
Oh, you know what my reply is? I'm so honored that you've sent this for thinking of me. I do charge for these events. Can I send you my speaker's fees?
That's a good
one. And it's happened a couple times. Yeah. And they're like, sure. And then I send them my speaker's fees. At the bottom of the email and I don't use my list unless I think it's relevant to my guests, like my audience. If it's not relevant, why?
Yeah.
And most time I don't get a reply. But save my time.
I mean, we worked out and we've gotten really great. Thankfully, there's people on my team who love spreadsheets and statistics, and I'm grateful for them. And we worked out that from our enrollment in our flagship program, 75% of people who enrolled joined our list within the previous 12 months. About 60% are within the previous 6 months from our start date. So we don't need that list. I don't need to I have this many subscribers to prove my value. Nah.
No, your list is juicy. They're warm. They're ready to go. They're ready to put on their chef's hat and get cooking. I love that. Okay, I love this. These are some really great uncommon ways that you've grown your business. Last question for you. When I ask you what it means to be a wild woman, what is that for you?
Oh gosh, I think it's just being exactly as you are. I think especially with women, we grow up trying to fit into something, whether it's fitting in with our circle of friends or fitting in with mom groups or fitting in with female entrepreneurs. And I mean, I've never fit in my whole life. And so I think that is part of it, and being able to embrace and accept that I just don't think or function or do things like everyone else. And that's part of what's become my magic. I think that's what makes me a bit of a wild woman.
You are wild. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people go to find you online?
I am at meghantelpner.com and at Meghan Telpner, and the school is culinarynutrition.com and Culinary Nutrition on Instagram.
Cool. Well, all that's in the show notes. Meghan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Renee. It was a pleasure.
So there you have it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Into the Wild. To make this girl happy and to help reach other women who are dreaming of starting their business, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and everywhere you listen in. Also, if you want to find me in the wild, check me out on Instagram at Renee_Warren. That's RENEE_WARREN. And leaving you with one of my favorite tips of all time: the best advice you could ever receive is from someone who has successfully done it before you. Until next time, ladies, peace out.